What if I told you that everything you learned in school about the solar system was wrong? Well, not wrong exactly, but incomplete. You know the list: Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune. 8 planets. Solid. Simple. But what if our solar system has a secret history, a past filled with planets that were discovered, celebrated, and then forgotten? We're not just talking about Pluto. Oh no, the story is so much bigger than that. What if there were once 11 planets, or even more? Today, we're digging up the ghosts of our cosmic backyard. We're going on a hunt for the solar system's forgotten planets. And trust me, what we find will change the way you look at the night sky forever. Stick around, because the biggest planet in this story was one you've definitely heard of, but you have no idea why it lost its title. Okay, so let's get one thing straight. The word planet is like super old. It comes from the ancient Greeks, and it meant wandering star. See, for thousands of years, people looked up and saw these little lights in the sky. Most of them stayed put in their constellations, right? But a few of them, they moved. They were the wanderers: Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn. Those were the OGs, the original planets you could see with your naked eye. For 2,000 years, that was it: the sun, the moon, and these 5 wanderers. Simple. But then, everything changed. A little invention called the telescope comes along in the 1600s, and suddenly, humanity gets a brand new pair of eyes. And what do? We start finding things. In 1781, this guy, William Herschel, is just, chilling in his backyard, looking at stars, and he spots something fuzzy. It's moving, but it's not a comet. It's too slow, too steady. He's found a new planet, Uranus. Boom! Just like that, the solar system doubled in size. The exclusive club of 5 planets just got a new member. This was a huge deal. It proved there was more out there than the ancients knew. The hunt was on. What else was hiding in the dark? And that's when things started to get really weird. On January 1st, 1801, literally the first day of the 19th century, an Italian astronomer named Giuseppe Piazzi finds another wanderer. It's a tiny dot of light orbiting right between Mars and Jupiter, exactly where astronomers predicted a planet should be. They named it Ceres, after the Roman goddess of the harvest. For the next few years, textbooks were updated. School kids learned about the new planet, Ceres. We had 8 planets now. It was official. Or was it? Because almost immediately after Ceres was discovered, another one was found. Then another. And another. All in the same area between Mars and Jupiter. They were named Pallas, Juno, and Vesta. So, wait, are these planets too? For a while, the answer was yeah. By the mid-1800s, astronomical charts listed up to 11 planets. The solar system was getting crowded. Imagine having to memorize that list for a science test. But astronomers started noticing something a little off about these new planets. They were tiny, like really tiny. Ceres, the biggest one, was way smaller than our own moon. And they were all clumped together in this one region of space. It was less like a collection of majestic planets and more like rubble, a collection of cosmic debris. So what were they? Were they failed planets? Or were they something else entirely? A new word was needed, and the word they chose would forever change our definition of the solar system. By the way, stories like this, the forgotten histories and the mind-bending science, are what this channel is all about. We dive deep into the stuff that makes you go, whoa! If you're into that and you want to help us uncover more of these amazing stories, do me a huge favor and hit that subscribe button. It tells YouTube we're doing something right and helps us make more videos just like this one. Thanks, you guys. You're awesome. Now back to the rubble. So you have this cosmic pileup between Mars and Jupiter, Ceres, Pallas, Juno, Vesta, and a bunch of their smaller friends. Calling them all planets just felt wrong. They were in a class of their own. So astronomers came up with a new term, asteroids, which means star-like. And they created a new category for the space they lived in, the Asteroid Belt. Just like that, Ceres and its buddies were demoted. They went from being planets to being the first asteroids. The solar system was back down to a clean 8 planets. Whew! For about 100 years, everything was stable. Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune. Nice and tidy. But astronomers are never satisfied, are they? They looked at the orbit of Uranus and Neptune and saw wobbles. Tiny gravitational tugs that suggested something else was out there. Something big. A massive, hidden world lurking in the darkness beyond Neptune. They called it Planet X. The hunt for Planet X became the obsession of the early 20th century. One guy, Percival Lowell, a rich astronomer, spent years searching for it from his observatory in Arizona. He died without ever finding it. But his legacy lived on. The search continued. And in 1930, a young, self-taught astronomer at Lowell's observatory named Clyde Tombaugh was doing the painstaking work of comparing photographic plates of the night sky. Imagine looking at 2 pictures with hundreds of thousands of stars and trying to find the one tiny dot that moved. It's an insane task, but he did it. On February 18, 1930, he found it, a tiny, faint speck of light crawling across the cosmos. Planet X had been found. The world went nuts. This was the first planet discovered by an American. It was a massive point of pride. The observatory was flooded with suggestions for a name. An 11-year-old girl from England named Venetia Burney suggested Pluto for the Roman god of the underworld. It was perfect. It was dark, remote, and the first 2 letters, PL, were the initials of Percival Lowell, the man who started the hunt. And so, for the next 76 years, we had 9 planets. Pluto was the weird little sibling at the edge of the family photo. It had a weird lopsided orbit that sometimes crossed Neptune's path. It was shockingly small, smaller than our own moon. But it was a planet. End of story. Everyone loved Pluto. It was the underdog. Disney named a dog after it. It was cemented in our culture. But science doesn't care about culture. As our telescopes got better, we started to see that Pluto wasn't alone. Just like with Ceres a century earlier, we started finding other stuff out there past Neptune. A whole region of icy, rocky bodies. They called it the Kuiper Belt. At first, they were just small chunks of ice. But then, in the early 2000s, we started finding big ones. In 2002, we found Quasar. In 2003, we found Sedna. These things were huge, some of them more than half the size of Pluto. So, are they planets too? Do we now have 10 planets? 11? 12? The situation was getting messy. It was the 1850s all over again. Astronomers were facing the exact same problem they had with Ceres. And then came the final nail in the coffin. On January 5, 2005, astronomer Mike Brown and his team discovered an object way out past Pluto, and it was bigger than Pluto. They nicknamed it Xena, but it was officially named Eris, after the Greek goddess of discord and strife. And boy, did it cause discord. Think about it. If Pluto is a planet, then Eris has to be a planet, right? It's bigger. But if Eris is a planet, what about all the other big Kuiper Belt objects? Where do you draw the line? Science had a choice to make. Either we have a solar system with maybe 8 planets, or we could have a solar system with 50 or 100. Astronomers were at a crossroads. The very definition of planet was about to be put on trial, and Pluto was the star witness. The discovery of Eris broke the system. It forced the question, what actually is a planet? It's kind of crazy when you think about it, but until 2006, we had no official scientific definition. A planet was just a planet. It was a big thing that orbited the sun. But big isn't exactly a scientific measurement, is it? So, in August of 2006, the International Astronomical Union, the people who get to name things in space, met in Prague for a fiery debate. It was time to vote. They came up with a 3-point checklist. To be a planet, a celestial body must do 3 things. 1, it has to orbit the sun. Okay, easy enough. Pluto does that. Eris does that. Ceres does that. Check. 2, it has to have enough gravity to pull itself into a round or spherical shape. Basically, it can't be a lumpy potato like most asteroids. It has to be a marble. Pluto is round. Eris is round. Ceres is round. Check. 3. This was the controversial one. It must have cleared the neighborhood around its orbit. What does that even mean? It means a planet has to be the gravitational bully of its own orbital path. As it goes around the sun, its gravity has to be strong enough to either suck in or fling away all the other junk in its path. Earth has done this. Jupiter has definitely done this. Every one of the 8 major planets is the undisputed king of its own orbit. So, how does Pluto do on rule number 3? Well, it fails. Big time. Pluto lives in the Kuiper Belt, a crowded neighborhood filled with hundreds of thousands of other icy bodies. Pluto isn't the bully of its orbit, it's just one resident. A big resident, sure, but still just one among many. It hasn't cleared its neighborhood. The same goes for Eris. And what about Ceres? It's the biggest thing in the Asteroid Belt, but it's still just a tiny part of the Asteroid Belt. It hasn't cleared its neighborhood either. And with that final rule, the decision was made. On August 24, 2006, the IAU, the International Astronomical Union, voted. Pluto was officially reclassified. It was no longer the 9th planet. The solar system was back down to 8. But they didn't just want to demote Pluto, Ceres, and Eris. They created a brand new category to honor these unique worlds. Dwarf planet. A dwarf planet is any object that meets the first 2 rules. It orbits the sun and is round, but fails the 3rd. It's a fascinating middle ground. It recognizes that these aren't just asteroids. They are complex worlds in their own right. Pluto has mountains of water ice, a thin nitrogen atmosphere, and 5 moons. Ceres has mysterious bright spots that might be salt deposits from a subsurface ocean. These are incredible places. So, in the end, the story of the forgotten planets isn't really a story of demotion. It's a story of discovery. It's a perfect example of how science works. It's not about memorizing a list of facts. It's about observing the universe, asking questions, and sometimes realizing our old definitions just aren't good enough anymore. We didn't lose a planet. We gained a whole new understanding of our solar system, revealing it to be a much more crowded, complex, and fascinating place than we ever imagined. So what do you think? Should Pluto have been kept as a planet? Or does the dwarf planet category make more sense? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. I'd love to hear what you think. And if you enjoyed this cosmic deep dive, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more stories about our amazing universe. Thanks for watching!